Good morning, everybody. Happy middle of the week. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to today's Microsoft Flight Simulator here on the deluxe version of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 on the Xbox Series S. We will be flying the Junkers 52 right here. We are departing from Kish Island and heading to Jask. Going to be a bit of a long one. We got two fairly long legs. Our first one is going to be 120 nautical miles, and then we have 100 nautical miles to Jask. As soon as we get it on the ground, we'll wrap things up. I am not taking requests for flights or for me to fly aircraft. I fly the sim the way I want to, and my schedule is created well in advance and is always subject to change. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are vintage aviation flights, and that will be changing possibly here in July. Tuesdays are jetliner, regional jet, regional prop, and business jet flights. Thursdays we have military aviation flights. Saturday we have Lightning Saturday. We fly the P-38 Lightning, and on Sunday we have scenic flights. This Sunday we will be in Hong Kong, for instance. Any other information can be found in the description area below the video. Thank you for your attention. I've got the plane already started up, got our clearance, so I'm going to go ahead and start taxiing out to our departure runway. So hopefully everybody is doing well. Middle of the week, finally. Yeah, I had yesterday was just one of those technological failure days. First off, apparently, Microsoft, or not Microsoft, Xbox Live services were all kinds of jacked up yesterday, and then my internet was jacking up and didn't come back on till late yesterday evening. So yeah, it didn't. I know. So once it got on, I tried to get a few things sorted for upcoming flights. Wow, and it's already buffering. Look at that. It's fantastic. So yeah, it's just been one of those days. Why is that plane just sitting on the runway? What's going on there? Okay. So yeah, working on some things for July. In the interest of things kind of being fun and just kind of change things up again, going into mid July. We're gonna do general aviation Fridays. Because there's just not enough vintage stuff that is like reasonably flyable. Or just kind of switch things up because there's a lot of general aviation stuff that we haven't been using. Kind of get back into those planes. So we'll throw that back out there and do some general aviation stuff. And then yeah, there we go. It's a bit of a long taxi. I think, and I might be wrong, but I think that the way that the sim, if you call for taxi, you know, that you're ready for takeoff and you need to know which way you're going to taxi, the sim doesn't. Well, I think it sends you to wherever the active departure is. It won't send you to the one that's most convenient for you. It'll send you to the active departure runway, I think. So that means very likely that if we're taking off from this end, we're going to have to probably do a loop-de-loo here and head back. Yeah. Once we're up in the air, we're gonna have to turn around. We'll make a lazy right-hander to get to our on our track there. I think we're gonna go over to the other runway there. Yeah. I think today's going to be another one of those quiet starts. And thank you, Dino Gusso 8PBN. Thank you for the follow. I got that. I think you followed after I'd already was wrapping things up, so I didn't get a chance. I saw it afterwards, so thank you for the follow. I just wanted to give you a quick shout out for that. So thank you, everybody. And if you're watching this on the YouTube replay, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoy the flight. I thought I put clear skies. Why? That is not clear skies. Hold on a second. Because the weather was a bit suspect. So, hold on a second. Oh, I put a few clouds. And then clear skies. There we go. Yeah, because it seems like whenever we've had live weather, we get that crazy sort of... Oh, did I not tell my co-pilot that they could talk? I guess I did not.
Straight out departure at runway 27 left.
Now I've been trying to find, well, I've been finding tail codes for the Junkers 52 that were used when it was a Lufthansa, I should try to pronounce it correctly, airline, but they're not being recognized as such. Uh-oh, I think these batteries are about to go, because now all of a sudden yep. Alright. Let me change batteries real quick, folks. I think these just went a little bit. Alright, hold on a second, folks. There we go. Alright, now we're back. Alright. I think we are all set. Got my frequencies tuned in. We are on runway. Start with for a heading bug. This is going to be 115. I should probably not done that yet. fuse the. Make this off. All right. Hold on a second, folks. We're almost ready to depart. All right, let's go. There we go. Any second now, though. There it is. And away we go. Go. There's our picture for the flight, departing out of Kish Island. All right, I think we can go ahead and start turning. And there we go. We're right. I wonder if I find. So there we are. There's Kish Island. We are on our way to Jask. Interesting thing, when I was making sure I had all the stuff ready for flying today, Jask, it turns out, is a military base. Like today. So we will be staying essentially we're departing from Iran, an Iranian area, to another, and we're ending up in Jask, which is a military base for Iran. Now, I don't think, and I have to, you know what, let me pull this up. I'm trying to figure out if I... So Jask, yes, it was a stop along the way. I couldn't remember if this was something that I had to put in for a kind of a bit of a routine, you know, sort of to kind of break things up. So this was a stop on the KLM route where we're heading to. But it's interesting that now it's not even a civilian airport or a small regional airport. It is just a military airfield. And again, it's interesting that, you know, in the 1930s, it was just a stop along the way. And, you know, now I don't know when it became an airfield. I don't know the history or anything, but let's go ahead and make sure we're try to get online here. Oops. When did that change? You know, how is it that the world was so different in the 1930s? I'm not saying necessarily it was different for the better. It was just different. How is it that it just became... Okay, 115 nautical miles. So we are on our way to our UR DME. Go. So yeah, kind of interesting that it's a military. So there's really no information. I can't pull up a chart or anything to kind of get an eye on the runway or anything, any other information. It's just it's a completely a non. There's nothing I can find that would give me any kind of information. So all right. So what we're going to do is we're going to fly towards I think that's where's Dubai. Let's see what Oh, so we're going to fly over the UAE, United Arab Emirates, and then we'll. So we're still over the Persian Gulf basically. So we're gonna skirt over the UAE and then turn back towards Jask and the Iranian mainland, I guess you could say. But it's a coastal sort of area. I don't know if it would be considered a picturesque sort of duty station or not. Because when we think of coastal areas, we always think that it's picturesque and all that kind of stuff. So, all right, 108 nautical miles. So we won't So our next navigation aid is a TACAN. So we won't get any kind of a signal. I don't think the DME will work. We'll see. But it's about 100 nautical miles to get there. So we're going to cut across another part of the... So actually we're not in the Persian Gulf, we're still in the Persian Gulf, but once we pass the UAE, then I think we're out in the... Let's see. The Gulf of Oman. Okay. Oh. Site of a base of the Iranian Navy, which opened in October of 2008. Huh. I did not know that. Oh. It's called... It's Jask, not Jask. It's Jask. Bandar-e Jask. So yeah, so we'll be along the Gulf of Oman as it's there. Once we go past the UAE area. So we'll try to squeeze every little bit of speed we can out of this thing. Try to get us there a little bit quicker. I think keeping that 9 degrees of flaps down for a bit longer helped with our climbing, and then also our airspeed is significantly better. I would probably be close to breaking the engine if I was doing, although it's in the green, like our speed's in the green, we're not over speeding. So Might be a quiet one today. We'll see. You never know. Let's see, what else is there to talk about? Yeah, looking forward. It's gonna. Oh, tonight's flight. So we are. Captain R's put a little post on his Discord about tonight. So it's gonna be about 3 hours flying across to our first stop. So it's going to be kind of like this. We're going to just be over water pretty much the entire time, and there's not going to be anything really to look at. So, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a snoozer. The bad part is the there's no halfway point. Like, you know, when we've been flying over land, there's plenty of small airports that people can divert to if they, you know, they're like, hey, I can't finish the rest of the flight, you know, I can only go this far. But no, once you commit either, well, I guess in theory you could, you know, end your flight early by just crashing into the water, but that's no fun. But yeah, it's going to be a so yeah, if you're going to do it, you've got to be committed to the whole thing. And then we'll land on a little island, and then next Monday we'll continue on from there. Now, interestingly enough, when I was logged back in yesterday evening to kind of get some stuff planned for July, the whole flight from San Juan to Miami, gone. The hours are all gone. It just go. The flight that Mick and I did, hours are gone. So it's like I'm in purgatory at 75 hours. Even though by my track we have done, let's see, overall, as it stands from when I started tracking this stuff myself, I'm at 552, almost 500, well, 552 hours flying. That includes day and night. Most of that predominantly has been day. I did some night flying just to get the 50 hours in, but I don't fly too much at night, only because there's not, you can't really see anything. Now, if we do like a late afternoon, you know, going towards sunset sort of flight, I think that would be fine. But otherwise, yeah, nobody would be able to see anything. So let's see. Tomorrow we will be in the F-15 Eagle, departing from Lakenheath and heading to Ramstein Air Base. I tried a couple things with the F-15 yesterday, before all the shenanigans happened, and I could not get, and maybe I was doing something wrong, but the autopilot and the nav were not following the track, the flight plan. So I don't really know why that is. I think I might have to fly manually, kind of get it pointed the right direction, and then hit the autopilot in nav mode, and then it should go. 92 nautical miles. So we're just clipping along here. 107 knots. Yeah, making good time. So yeah, it's going to be. Well, I guess if you take a little bit faster of a plane, and some people probably will. Then you can get there a little quicker, but otherwise it looks like this is some kind of island for something. It almost looks like there's a port or something over there. Doesn't look like it's inhabited at all. I don't see anything to suggest there's any kind of settlement or town or anything here. Doesn't look like it'd be very hospitable. But yeah, that does look like a port of some kind, though. Maybe everything's over there. Oh, maybe there is a town or some kind of a something there, maybe. Yeah, it looks like there's some kind of maybe over there. I mean, I have to wonder, what kind of life do you have here? Like, what would you be doing here? So boy, we are starting to drift off track there. Yeah, look at. I don't know what island this is, but I mean, there's something here. I don't know, I wonder if it's like a Navy base? I mean, there's nothing. There looks like there's a road, but it looks like a dirt road around the island. I'm sure if it rains, it's probably not very safe to travel. But it didn't take much to get us off that track. Well, I feel like I'm talking to myself. Because essentially I am. There's just nobody here today. Wow. Nobody knows the flying I'm doing. Nobody cares. Sad, just sad. Oh, what can you do? So this is our halfway point. Once we get to Jask, we are on leg 16. There's now 16 legs left to get to Indonesia. Now, thinking out loud here. In order to expedite what I may do every other Friday, because we're basically at the end of June now. June's pretty much already almost in the rearview mirror. I may every other Friday or so just do another leg, just to kind of get it a little bit further into the flight, get us farther along. You know, we're still going to have some of those long, very bland sort of flying. Not much to see, you know, it's just going to be flying along, kind of like what we're doing here, just cruising along and trying to stay on track and all that. I had it online, and now all of a sudden it was like we just went way off. Now it's like I'm zigzagging back and forth, trying to get back on track. $80 nautical miles to our first waypoint there in United Arab Emirates. So yeah, I may do that just to kind of take a bite out of our legs here. Because if I can fly 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, or at least every other Friday, then that just helps get us a little bit closer. Because I get the feeling, because I was like really excited about this route and doing this, but I think now it's like, initially it was exciting, but now everybody's just kind of like, yeah, boring. So, yeah. So we'll see. I may just try to, but I know people aren't going to really particularly care for it. But I think it's kind of worn out. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just going to mute myself while I have my coffee then. Hello? Has there been anybody out there? Just did a little tour around the aircraft on the outside. And on the back tail, right around there, it says nicht anfassen, do not touch. So there was a reminder to the maintenance folks. They were working on the aircraft not to touch that particular part of the tail. We are just cruising along. We are almost halfway to... well, actually, we are halfway to our first nav point over in the United Arab Emirates. So we are halfway, 120 nautical mile journey to our first waypoint. And we will turn left and towards mainland Iran again. And land in Jask. It's a long A, not Jask, it's Jask. The airbase there that was a stop along the way on this old KLM route from the 1930s. That was part of the flight to the former Dutch East Indies. Would depart Amsterdam, would take about a week to complete, depending on the weather, of course. And so they would do multiple legs during the day, as long as the weather was good and they could see, because it was true VFR flying. There was no GPS or anything, so they had to be able to see where they were at all times. And then they would do so many flights during the day, and then as it was getting into the close to evening time, as the sun would go down, they would stop for the night at an airport. It would be like a mini vacation. The passengers were encouraged to tour the local town wherever they were stopped at, sample some of the food. So, yeah, interesting that almost 90 something years ago, almost 100 years ago, that was how it was. So very, very interesting that this, where we're headed to in Jask, was a stop along the way for KLM, and now it is a military air base. There's no information other than the fact that the airfield exists. No charts or anything we can look at because it is a military air base. And I don't think the Iranian government would be very pleased with any kind of information being published about their airfield, although I'm sure intelligence agencies have all kinds of information already. Just realized I just had a... So, yeah, it's very interesting that it's, that's how it is. That, ages ago, people could fly in there, and if they stopped there for the night, that they had they were welcome. I guess. I mean, I guess the big question would be: are you welcoming them with open arms, or are you welcoming their money? There's a difference. I always think about, since I'm talking to myself, I might as well have a little bit of story time. The only time that I've ever been to a NASCAR race, and I didn't go to the race itself, I went to practice and qualifying at Sonoma, because I got a recruiter friend of mine got tickets and said, hey, you like racing, here's tickets, you can have them. So me and a fellow service member. He was in the Marine Corps. We worked next door to one another. And I said, I got tickets to practice and qualifying. Do you want to go one day? And he said, yeah, let's go to qualifying, or to practice at least. So we went there for the day. And the interesting thing is that in any other event that I've been to, racing wise, it didn't matter if it was the American Le Mans Series, the Rolex Sports Car Series, historic events, anything. Even when I've been to Sonoma for the or Infineon Raceway for the Ferrari Challenge races, nothing, no kind of, you have to go around this way to get to the other side of the paddock or anything. It's just you could walk right on through, whatever. Not NASCAR. Not NASCAR. My friend and I was trying to go to the souvenir store. They have stuff for the track, and then they have books and all kinds of stuff racing related. And it didn't matter what kind, because they also have a drag strip there at Infineon. I know it's changed names, but I just stick with the name that I've always known it as. So there's all kinds of souvenirs and stuff that you can get there at the shop there at the track. And I was looking to see what kind of books they had about any car racing car related stuff that I might be interested in. And so we were just near the main grandstand. If you've ever raced at Infineon in Forza Motorsport or Gran Turismo or whatever, any kind of racing game, there's the main grandstand along the main straight there. And so we walked past there, and we were heading towards the paddock, which is where all the teams have their transport stuff, like the big trailer that they can put the cars in with all the spare parts, and it turns into like a mini operations center for the race team. And all the driver hangs out there quite a bit, talking to the race engineers and mechanics and everything, and they're always coming up with strategies and stuff like that before the race day. And so we walk up there, and this guy says, "Where are you going?" "Well, I'm going to go across right over there." "Well, are you a VIP?" "No." "Are you a sponsor?" "No." "You're not related, you're not here with any team or anything?" "No." "Then you have to go around." Like, we had to walk to the right all the way around the paddock area, which, it sounds like it's very far. It was annoying because it was like, why couldn't we just cut through? Now, I guess part of the problem is that in NASCAR, there's people who are like diehard fans. Like, they, and this was still when Jeff Gordon was racing, I think. So there was Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart. There's those fans who, if they can get into that area, they are going to camp out by that trailer, by that area, and wait for that driver to come out and start peppering them with, "Can you sign this?" And part of it is that people take an item that is signed, and baseball players they've become a bit wary of it, because they'll sign autographs for kids, but they're always suspect of adults, because they'll put it on eBay or something and sell it for a ton of money because they got this personality to sign something, whether it's a baseball or anything that they can sell and make money off of it. So I can understand, but it's like, that's when I started to realize NASCAR says it loves its fans. They always talk about that in every broadcast. NASCAR thanks the fans for their loyal support and blah, 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 blah. Bottom line is, they don't want you there. They want you there to fill a grandstand seat, but they don't want you always. But at the end of the day, they just want your money. That's it. That's all they really care about. They've got the tickets sold. They know you're going to buy all kinds of souvenirs where it's a program, but you're going to spend money. That's all they care about. But they don't care about you as a fan personally at all. So, and it's amazing. Now, see, if my buddy and I had, him being in the Marine Corps, me being in the Army, well, Army National Guard, but I still wear a uniform that says U.S. Army. If we'd gone in uniform, chances are they would have said, oh, we could have probably bullshitted our way through and said, well, we're meeting some high-ranking folks in there. They're part of the... Because usually that's what happens too. Anytime they visit, some senior officer and all these senior people, they get to hang out in the pits, because I think back then, what was his name? I can't remember his name. But there was a National Guard car. I can't remember. It wasn't Dale Jr. driving it. Anyway. So, I could have probably, but there's always those sorts of things if you watch like Daytona or Talladega or any of the big races. Even the Brickyard race, when NASCAR goes to Indianapolis, you see all these military folks, and they're all senior ranking people. You never see like the junior soldiers there at all. Never, ever do you see like a specialist or a private. It's all senior sergeant majors and majors and above, and and they're all hanging out there. But yeah, I remembered that, and I'm like, wow, it's. But how is it? And I always looked at it from a technology standpoint, because I think that was last year. The next season was the quote unquote car of tomorrow for NASCAR, which turned out to be a complete bust. There's nothing special about a NASCAR car at all. There's nothing at all that different. It may carry the name Toyota, Dodge, Chevrolet, Ford, and it may bear some small, like they'll put the grill, like it's not a true stock car like it used to be back in the day, where you could go to a Plymouth dealership and buy a Plymouth or a Dodge or whatever. I think it was Plymouth or whatever it was that like Richard Petty raced. You could get a car that was pretty much the same as his. It's just that you don't have, his has more safety stuff and it's kind of stripped down, but yours would be road version. Not so much anymore. They're a shell of a car, and that's all it is. You could just switch the shell and you wouldn't know. If you take that off, it's a NASCAR car, but what brand? The only thing that would differentiate would be the name on the engine, and that would probably be about it. Other than that, it's not anything spectacular. So I'm always like amazed. How is it that I can go in a racing paddock where there's more technologically advanced cars, like the year when the Audi R10 TDI came out, that's far more advanced in technology than a NASCAR car. But how come? So I don't think it's so much the technology, although I think when teams are doing things on the car, and it's, you know, whether they're trying to circumvent the rules, which some teams do, and many teams, and or not the many crew chiefs have been fined and they've lost points in the championship because they were caught cheating. So they don't want to. They don't want any prying eyes. Certainly, they don't want any ocular proof of their nefarious ways. But I don't think it's so much about it's about protecting the drivers from those maniac fans. I think that's more than anything. And in the American Le Mans series, and I think even the Rolex Sports Car series, they have a designated time, and it tells you in the program, and they'll announce it on the PA system throughout the track. Or, you know, whatever day that they're going to have an autograph session, they'll remind everybody, hey, coming up in the paddock, autograph sessions for the next hour or so. You know, so everybody rushes to go see their favorite driver, and, you know, try to take a picture with them or whatever. You know, like I got a picture with Hurley Haywood, who's a famous Porsche driver. I just happened to catch him, and I just said, hey, excuse me, Mr. Haywood, would you mind taking a picture? Sure, not a problem. And took the picture, and he was on his way. But, you know, I think it's also, how do you as a fan approach that driver, you know? But yeah, there's just people that I think are just so, they're so starstruck that they feel like they have this connection to a driver, and they have to, you know, want that, what do you call it, that interaction that validates that connection, you know. Yeah, I always remember that. It's always, they want your money, but they don't necessarily want you there. So we're making pretty good time. We are 27 nautical miles from our... Go. So we'll probably talk to Tehran Center once we're en route towards Jask. So our point is somewhere up in this area. Our VOR DME, and then we'll tune into the TACAN over at Jask. It is a military air base. It is not a civilian airport. We can still tune into the frequency, but we will not get a signal. We won't get a, I don't think we'll get any kind of reading here as far as a distance to that point, to that navigation aid. Now there is a non-directional beacon that we may use also, but we'll see which one might be the preferred. Preferred way to tune in and try to get our some kind of and the difficult part is now Of course, they didn't take this route, I don't think, when they flew there. They probably took the most. They might have just flown down the coast and then turned into Jask, so that way they could see. They could, by their chart, they could verify it. So over the water, of course, there's no, unless they had, they used celestial navigation, then they could kind of pinpoint roughly where they were and how much farther they had to go, and then they were also measuring how far they had flown and what was the expected leg of the flight. How many nautical miles was it? So they would, try to time it as well and say, okay, we've been in the air for 45 minutes. We should be about here, So, anyways, what else can we talk about? I'm just trying to find stuff to talk about because nobody's talking to me, so I might as well just blabber on, I guess. Because if I stay silent, then everybody's like, what happened? Yeah, we are almost there. We're done with our first leg. We've been really doing very well speed-wise. We've been about 107 knots. So we are doing very well speed-wise. So we crossed this neck of the woods, or this part of our flight, fairly well, I think. And so now we have a little bit less of a journey to our destination of Jask, 100 nautical miles. So we will, once we fly over our navigation point here on the UAE, then we will turn to heading a 085. We'll be heading much more to the east than we are right now. And then we'll be at Jask. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the flight. Yes, I don't know. Tomorrow we'll be in the F-15E, Lakenheath to Ramstein. That shouldn't take very long to do. It's fairly quick flight, I believe. Once we're up in the air, we're only going to go to 29,000 feet. And then Friday, we will be in the Noiport 17. We'll be in France. Charentes to Bernay. Saturday, multiplayer back open, Lightning Saturday, Creech Air Force Base to Wendover. That is going to be quite a long flight. Sunday, we're flying around Hong Kong. We may do, we'll do Oakville Subdivision for our train sim video. We'll just do a quick freight service on that. And then we will be done. we'll fly around. We will fly around. So Oakville subdivision first, quick 30-minute service, probably even less than 30 minutes. Reset, fly around Hong Kong, and then we'll be done for Sunday. And then the following Sunday, a week from this coming Sunday, we'll be around the San Francisco Bay Area. There will not be a Train Sim World stream. So on the 3rd of July, we're just going to fly around the San Francisco Bay Area. We're going to cover a whole bunch of stuff, and then I'm going to try to go down south to Santa Cruz and then come back into San Jose and up the South Bay. So good stuff planned for a week, next week. So no flight on the 4th and no flight on the 7th. Try to go across our marker here, because last time we didn't quite go past it. I just want to make sure we do our level best here to trigger the second leg. So now over the United Arab Emirates, we'll be turning a little bit more to the east here shortly. We have 8 nautical miles, just under 9 nautical miles to go. So there is an airport in front of us, and I think it's a larger one than the one we just passed back there. Yeah, that's a smaller airport there. I think this would be like an antenna. I want to go ahead and tune that one in. It is 349. Yeah, there we go. We won't put the tone on because there's just no. So there's another airfield there, probably a bit larger. Almost looks like a regional kind of airport. Not sure if it's might even be enough for an international flight. Maybe if you had an Embraer or a A320 or something, or 737, you could get across there. Somewhere else, you can depart from here. So it should be that. I think it's that building kind of right below us there somewhere is our VOR DME. So what we're going to do is we're going to gotta turn this to 085. So that's picking up that NDB. It's already picked up that signal. Now if I tune in that TACAN of 116, yeah, it's not going to give us a distance, so that's okay. We're going to head over into the Gulf of Oman and make our way back to mainland Iran. We'll be on the ground before we know it. I think once we are on our way, kind of we are now, but I'm going to make sure we are heading the right direction and everything. I'm going to take a quick break. But the winds here, it's like they just wanted to push us right into going start losing altitude and crash. See, we start climbing and then all of a sudden it just like, it climbs and it's like, I'm tired. And it noses over. I think we've been using fuel. I topped up at about 85% in the fuel tanks overall. So we should have enough to get us there, but the weight of the aircraft is certainly changing. Alright, let's... Now this thing really wants to climb. Once we're clear of this, I'll try to trim the aircraft out. That's going to be the difficult part. So we were doing so well as far as the speed went, now that I wanted to make sure we get over these over this area here, heading back up onto the coast over into the Gulf of Oman. All right. All right, I'm going to be right back, folks. Alright, we're turning way off our intended heading. There's another small airport right. I guess right down there. That looks like an airfield of some kind. Is it over there? It says we're going to be flying kind of close to one, but I think it's over there. But this looks like a landing strip as well right here. I might be imagining things that may not be. Might be over there. All right, here we go over to the Gulf of Oman. Our last bit of the journey here. We're definitely under 100 nautical miles. Probably about maybe in the 90s. Left to our destination there, Jask. All right. There's just the northeast part of UAE. Here on the coast of the Gulf of Oman. Or, well, yeah. I'm trying to remember how I looked at that. So, the entrance into the Persian Gulf, I believe, is on this side. And then we are in the Gulf. We're no longer in the Persian Gulf. We are in the Gulf of Oman. If I understood yeah. So when we went inland at the UAE and crossed over and went past that airport, now we are in the Gulf of Oman, heading towards the Iranian coastal town of Jask. It was a stop along the way on the way to Indonesia, the KLM route back in the 1930s. But it is a Air Force base, Iranian Air Force base. And the coastal part, I don't know what part will cross over, but there's an Iranian naval base there as well. But it was not a military facility in the 1930s. At least not that sounds like. I don't know that they would have, KLM would have been able to land there if it had been a full-blown military airfield, unless it was an emergency, and then even then they would probably be questioned as to why why they flew there. Yeah. Interesting how different the world was in the 1930s. Well, I do have a couple viewers. Everybody's in lurk mode today. Let's see. It's all good. I'll continue to blather on until somebody says otherwise. So last night, I don't know if anybody's ever watched this show called All Saints. Let's see. Series from Australia about this hospital called All Saints, and I think the premise is that it's not so much a Catholic hospital, but it kind of feels like that because they do have sisters who are nurses working there. But anyway, so the episode I was watching last night was about this character who was from several episodes previously, who had been diagnosed with cancer and had been, he was given the options, didn't want treatment, which some people are like that. They don't, for them it's not a way to live that they would want to suffer through. Well, he's back in the hospital. Cancer spread. Pretty much now it's, all of a sudden it was like he was, well, what if I start the treatment now? And the doctor said, well, it's kind of late now. There's not much we could do for you. Even if you went into chemotherapy and everything, it's spread so much that there'd be little hope for recovery. And so he kind of had to come to terms with that if he expressed his regret for not taking the advice of the doctors much earlier on to seek treatment, because now all of a sudden it's like it's coming close to Christmas, and he started to realize, I'm not going to be around for the holidays. And so of course it's all the last minute sort of, what if I do what ifs? What if I start treatment now? What would happen? And anyway, it reminded me, so for most people who don't know, I was a medic in the Army. And when I worked, once I got out and moved where I'm at, I worked at a Catholic hospital. It was the only hospital I could get a job at. The other ones in the area, I sent them my resume, applied for some jobs, never got a phone call, nothing. So my first job was as a transporter, and basically what I did was you go to a patient's room, bring them down for diagnostic imaging, whether it's X-ray, MRI, CT, minor surgical procedures, stuff like that. And it's a very, I wouldn't say boring, because there's times where you're super busy, and then there's times where you're just kind of like, there'd be a patient here and there, and sometimes on a weekend it would be very quiet, because they would always try to get a lot of stuff done before the before the weekend. So they're like on Friday there'd be this mad push to get a lot of stuff done. But anyway, watching that show, it reminded me a bit of working in the hospital, because I did two jobs. One, I was a transporter, and then eventually I worked on the hospice floor, where it was a lot of it was end-of-life care. Some, more often than not, it was people who had terminal cancer, unfortunately. And so it was I remember one night in particular, and I went to go get a patient, and I think I was bringing the patient down for I want to say it was x-rays. It was either x-rays or CT. I forget which one. But anyway, for diagnostic imaging. And so I would always, this is who I am. I'm here to get you for this. And are you ready to go? Or do you have any questions or whatever? Because sometimes patients they didn't always remember that a doctor, or they weren't told in some cases that the doctor was going to order diagnostic imaging. And in some cases, the nurse didn't even know that diagnostic imaging had been ordered. So, communication problem right there. But anyway, so it was the patient and their spouse. And we were coming off the elevator into the diagnostic imaging area. I said, we're going to go in here. Once we're done, I'll take you back up to your room and everything. And so the spouse asked me, so are you one of the imaging folks? I said, no, I'm a transporter. And so the spouse says, oh, so you're nobody then. Now, I think it was the patient, the spouse, and then I think a son or daughter. I think it was a daughter that was with us as well. And I was like, wow, okay, thanks. I'm just trying to do my job, and, thanks for the insult. And so I think the spouse or other family members spoke up and said, no, I don't think it's not that he's nobody. Obviously he's an important part of the process of providing care for our family member. And it was like, it was, if I had been in any other mood, I probably would have given, I would have said some very unpleasant things, and maybe rightfully so, because, that's pretty insulting when you're just trying to do your job and help somebody find out what's wrong, or help the doctor figure out what's wrong with the patient. It was just but that show, it's an interesting show, but it's it's, of course, a lot of it's dramatized and whatnot. But yeah, it just made me remember that particular episode. Well, not episode, but that particular time where this person it was very insulting, and I'm just like, wow, okay. It's like, oh, now we're picking up something. We are picking up a DME of some kind. Let's see, is it counting down? Yes. Okay. Well, at least we're picking up something. So yeah, it always reminds me of those times when there was people who had no medical background, no medical training at all, would try to tell medics how to do their job, for instance. And I was going to tell this story before, but then I changed my mind, but I'm going to tell it now. So we were doing our very first initial training prior to the deployment to Iraq. So we did a battalion level training exercise for about 2 weeks, and we did a brigade level training exercise for a month, and then we went to National Training Center for another month before we went to Iraq. Now, when we started our training, the first training event for 2 weeks, it was already hot and humid in Georgia. And so it was if you weren't acclimated, or you weren't really paying attention to the heat and everything, you could easily get dehydrated. The problem being that when you're out in the field, there's lots of stuff to do, so eating takes a back seat. Taking care of yourself takes a back seat, because there's stuff to do, and people are screaming, and we got to get this done. What are you waiting for? Why are you sitting down eating, or whatever? And so we were doing we were doing. So we were doing a convoy exercise. It was something that they were like, this is what we will be doing in Iraq. We will be taking supplies from one location to another, drop things off, pick up empty containers or whatever, and bring those back. So we hadn't left, we hadn't been off, or, we departed from our little area. And we were down the road and we were heading to another location set up somewhere else to simulate that we were taking a bunch of fuel over to another base. And so something happened along the way. I forget what the event was. I don't know if it was like a react to an ambush or something like that, but we stopped and dealt with all that, and then it was like, okay, it was something like that. I think we react to an ambush. And so I'm sitting in the vehicle, I'm just riding along as the medic, just in a way I was just chilling, because I was in a Humvee that had, because some of them, the newer ones, had like phenomenal air conditioning. So I'm in there, nice and cool, just minding my business. So they come get me and they say, hey, looks like they're gonna fall out. They're dehydrated and whatnot. I said, okay, let me go check them out. So I went over there, talked to the patient. Yeah, he was dehydrated. Now, there was a decision point. So, of course, one of the things I learned early on was you always ask, when was the last time you ate and what did you eat? So I asked the soldier, I said, what did you have for breakfast this morning? I had a Pop-Tart. I said, that's all you ate? Yep, that's all I ate, Sergeant. I didn't have time for anything else. I said, okay. No wonder why the patient's dehydrated, because they have no healthy amount of sodium in their body to retain the water enough to hydrate their body. So everybody was like, are you gonna give him an IV? What are you gonna do? I said, I'm not gonna do anything except hand the soldier a meal ready to eat, because there's plenty of healthy sodium in there. I said, here, eat this. Take your time. Don't rush through it. Drink some water. And it was like a completely different person. Like his energy. Phew. But they were like, just in case. So I ended up driving the vehicle in his place. So, but there was people who were like, why didn't you give him an IV? Because if I had, it would have been a wasted bag. It would have gone right through his system. He would not have been rehydrated at all. It would have been a waste of fluids. But people seem to think, no, you should have stuck him. Come on, you should have given him an IV. Why? There's nothing in his system that is going to help. Hello, Vengeful Squid. Yeah, I'm doing okay. We're on our way to Jask in Iran. We have roughly 47 nautical miles to our destination here on the coast of the Gulf of Oman, and we will call in and let them know we are inbound, and we'll put this thing on the ground, and we'll be done. But anyway, yeah, there was people who I forget who it was, but somebody was like flabbergasted with me, like, why didn't you should have given him an IV? No. Absolutely not. It would have been a waste of resources. Because when you're a medic on a convoy or anything, what you have with you, you may have other supplies, but what you have with you might be all you have. until you get to the next level of care, or you get, if something is really bad, that you get a resupply. But generally, you have enough, you hope you carry enough for any possible situation. But I was like, no, if I had stuck them, there would have been nothing for the fluids to stick to, basically. If you think about it in a scientific sense, healthy amount of sodium, body it stays hydrated. If you're eating junk food, or you're just, I had a Pop-Tart for breakfast, that's not going to get you through 80-degree weather with 100% humidity. You're just going to be, hold on a second, folks. Okay, I think it's gone. Or it might have stopped right out here somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, if that's how you but they don't let play with real variables. You mean a corpsman, I think is what you meant, not a Coleman. But yeah, it was just, and part of that is something I learned because before I went back on active duty, I was a medic in the Army National Guard, and we went to assist in the wildfires up near Redding, California. And so basically there was like 150 soldiers that were called corpsmen. Yeah, Otto's on the fritz. That's okay. I kind of figured that's what you meant. So there was like 150 people or somewhere around there, soldiers that were called up to active duty, state active duty, to help out with the wildfires. And then, but we would, in the evening, because we weren't out there all day, it was, we'd go out in the morning, be out there until late afternoon, and then come back. And there was these two mountain rescue paramedics who were set up right not far from our makeshift dining facility. That was oh man, I tell you, if you're ever on a fire duty sort of thing, whether you're a firefighter, whatever it is that you're going to do, the food is phenomenal. Like, they cook, I mean, it's not like 5-star restaurant sort of stuff, but it is really well made food. And so we'd eat, and then we'd always stop off and chat with these two mountain rescue paramedics, and just chatting with them, and because they had much more knowledge than I had as an Army medic. But they always talked about eating properly, that how you feel and how your body is based. Well, in California, Vengeful, when for that sort of thing, basically they had, it was like, I think they were like former inmates, and this is a chance for them to kind of get some skills and get back into society. But they would cook their butts off, absolutely. So it wasn't like the firefighters themselves. No, they had like a whole section that was nothing but cooks. They didn't go fight the fires at all, but they did a great job. Hats off to them. Like, the food was just fantastic. Like, you were looking forward to dinner every night. You're like, oh, tonight's gonna be this. But yeah, talking to those mountain rescue paramedics, the notion of that if you eat garbage, not like actual garbage, but if you eat junk food and all that, then that your body is going to react from that junk food, and you're not going to feel it. May taste good, right? We all love McDonald's and the fries and everything. It may taste good, but your body isn't going to feel good. Now, I don't always eat very healthy. I try to. Sometimes it's easier said than done. But it's true if you eat nothing but junk food, fast food, essentially, for instance, drink nothing but soda or alcohol, your body it's going to mess your body up eventually. And sometimes it's going to mess it up way quicker than you expect it to. It'll surprise you how quickly your system can deteriorate. But sometimes it takes quite a long time. And other times, if you are really, hitting that stuff hard, like fast food morning, noon, and night, soda throughout the day, alcohol at night, yeah, your body is going to start to react eventually. And you're not going to like the reaction. You're going to be like, ugh, this sucks. But anyway, so yeah, but there was another episode that, and we were still in that same initial 2-week training exercise. Soldier was on top of a trailer, slipped and fell off. Right? Now, most anybody, I think, with some any kind of common sense would say, yeah, the right thing to do would be to take the person to a hospital because they may have injured their back, they may have injured, they could have gotten knocked out, they might have a concussion that they need to be monitored, all kinds of stuff, right? So me and a fellow sergeant medic, we went over there with so there was 3 of us, right? And 3 medics. So we go over there, we assess the patient. We load him up in the back of the ambulance, and somebody, now me and my peer swore up and down. Somebody said, take him to the hospital. Nobody want. So basically what happened was this. We load him up and we go. Because in our minds, it's a load and go. There's no discussion. There's no time to goof around. It's a serious thing. They fell from 3 times greater than their height. It's an automatic trip to the hospital. No questions asked. So that's what we did. Even though we swear up and down to this day, him and I will both swear that somebody said, take him to the hospital on post. So that's what we did. We got him there, got him into the ER, waited for the patient to see if there was, if he was cleared, then we could take him back or whatever. Or if it was going to be like, we're going to admit him for 24 hours or whatever. Here's the paperwork so we could give it to the chain of command. Eventually, I think they decided that they were going to keep him overnight for observation just to be safe. So we got the information, closed up our little Humvee ambulance, and departed back for our training site. Boy, did we get an ass chewing. Now, we both, me and my peer, looked at each other like, what did we do wrong? And that's when we said, because you guys took off, nobody knew where you were, you should have asked for permission, because you're supposed to do they have to do a manifest. If you leave the training area, or when we were deployed to Iraq, for instance, if you left the base, your name was on a roster, so that if anything happened at your base, like say you got attacked, they knew that you, if necessary, they could determine that you weren't there when the attack happened. So they wouldn't count you among the missing or the dead. And conversely, if your convoy got attacked, they would know that you were on that convoy, and either you could be injured, dead, or fine. But so they always knew where you were, basically. So yeah, they were like, you should have asked for permission, and we're like, but we were told to go. Well, who told you? We don't know. So you're just saying somebody told you, you just listen to anybody. Well, it seemed like it was, whoever said it was probably a senior ranking person to us, and but it made sense to go. We probably would have made that determination on our own if necessary. 26 nautical miles. Let's see if our airport is close enough for us to request landing or tell them we're coming in. Yep, there it is. Ta-da! We're coming in on runway 06. So we were like, my peer and I, we were basically in purgatory. We knew we had done the right thing, but nobody would admit in front of anybody that we had done the right thing. Which was very strange, because you're like, well, according to all of our training, this was the proper course of events, But because they felt that we took action on our own, then it was like, well, you don't get the credit for it because you just made the decision, and everybody was wondering what happened to you guys. You just left and you didn't check out with us or anything, which I can understand. It was like a thing where we were, we should have let somebody know that we were leaving and going to the hospital. But yeah, we were just like, it was the weirdest thing. Like, it was almost like a Twilight Zone episode where you do the right thing, and what if we had saved that person's life, got them to the next level of care, that we just went there because that was the right course of action. Yeah, it was just the weirdest, super strangest situation to find ourselves in. So we were in purgatory for the rest of the time, as we called it. So we were purgatory battle buddies. That no matter what we did, we were always going to be in the wrong, so we just accepted it. Yeah, it was insane. Like, I'd never experienced anything like that. It was just the strangest, feeling that somebody would be like, I'm like, wow, okay, sure, okay, yeah, just. All right, folks. Well, we are 20 nautical miles from our destination. Should be somewhere up in here, I believe. So we're going to turn a little bit in. So once we're close enough and we get so we're just going to go straight in. And because this is not towered, we're just going to go right on in, land it, park it. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in on 06, and then once we get the plane slowed down or stopped enough, we'll turn back around and find a little parking spot somewhere. It's a very small field, I think, because I almost overlooked where the parking area was for the aircraft. So yeah, it's going to be, but we're almost there. We've done. This was supposed to be, I think, about a 2.5 hour trip. So we've done much better than expected. So that helps. That we've made really good time. The first leg, I mean, we were doing 107 knots. So we were like we were flying the speed of sound. Not really, but we got to across the Persian Gulf over into the UAE. Now we're here on the Gulf of Oman. landing here in Jask, which is part of Iran. So we left Kish Island, which is part of Iran, and we are landing in Jask, which is part of Iran. So we're... And then the next leg will be from Jask to... Let's see... to Gwadar, or Gwadar. It's Gwadar. I'm not sure. It's going to be 248 nautical miles for that. So that's going to be a bit of a long one. That's a straight shot, kind of like what we've experienced before when we went to Aruba. This is going to work over from Aruba to, from where we were to Aruba was a straight shot, and then from Aruba to Baghdad, I think, was a straight shot as well. Or it was. So so those are some of those flights that I know they're going to be a bit boring. We're just going to chug through them. If you can hang out and have a chat, I'm more than happy to do that. Otherwise, I'm just going to blabber on. It's your choice. I'd rather have conversations as much as possible, but I'll go the whole flight. Doesn't bother me none. So we'll be back tomorrow in the F-15 heading from Locken Heath in the anniversary liveried with the invasion stripes on the F-15. And we'll head over to Ramstein, land there, put it on the ground, park it, and wrap that up. I think it's going to be a very quick flight. So what I may just do is we might just take off and I'll just head, and then we'll just kind of try to get the altitude to kind of level off and just try to keep it pointing the right direction, and there's our pattern entry right there. Okay. Yeah, it is coastal, that's for sure. Alright, so we got to drop some altitude for sure. Go ahead and turn that off. And that, we can close that. I think what we may use the pattern there just so that we have time to kind of start bleeding off our altitude before because I don't want to be coming in at a super steep angle and trying to get it to settle down at the last minute there. So we'll use the pattern entry here. We got the fuel for it. We did not lean the mixture at all. Just kept it fully rich the entire way, which I think we squeezed out some more speed out of the engines. Although I would think that the maintenance folks would probably not be very happy that engines might need some serious help. All right. Well, thank you all for coming in, hanging out. Thank you, Vengeful Squid, for at least being the only person who came in the chat and chatted. Appreciate that. So we will get this downloaded once we're on the ground, wrap things up and get it downloaded to go over on YouTube for tomorrow. Yesterday's flight will be available on YouTube this morning at about 10:45, I think. Let me have a look, see. Yes, 10:45 this morning, East Coast time. That flight, if you missed that one yesterday, our flight from San Juan, Puerto Rico to Miami. Bit of a interesting flight. We had some thunderstorms along the way. One lightning strike kind of looked like it came into the flight deck. We made it. No significant issues. But we'll be back tomorrow on the F-15 Eagle. Yeah, we may just do we'll just take off and zip across the UK over across the channel over to Germany, land at Ramstein, and just see if we can't kind of hand fly it if necessary. Maybe we'll do a picture before we start the aircraft up and over there at Lock and Heath. Let's see, what is the local time? Here in Jask. It is 6:09 p.m. So it's like 9 hours ahead. Yep. Okay, so you got 9 hours. Hello, Skip. Nice to see you here. You're coming here just towards the tail end. We're gonna get into the pattern entry here. Jask is a military air base here on the Oman, the coast of the Gulf of Oman. And no tower. We're just we let them know you're inbound, and we're gonna land, wrap things up, and call it a day here very soon. Kind of a long flight, not much to look at, because other than when we took off from Kish Island, we took off and then circled back to head towards the United Arab Emirates. Flew across there and then cut across the Gulf of Oman here to Jask, and we will be. This was a stop along the way for the KLM flight. Hello, Amela. Amela is here right at the end. Everybody comes in at the end. I don't know what else to do. It is what it is. Excuse me. So yeah, we are here at our destination. We're gonna, well, kind of. There's our pattern entry. It's right there on the coast. Near the airfield, there is a Iranian naval base. Apparently, don't apologize, Amela. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm just joking. It's fine. I know people can't always be in at the beginning or whenever. It's fine. It was quiet. Oh. Like the trip, once I left Kish Island and headed towards the United Arab Emirates for our first nav point, it was like, I had 3 cheese, mac and cheese, and I cut up the hot dogs and put them in with the mac and cheese as well, and it was phenomenal. There we go. I had like 3 hot dogs left, I think, so I just used those up with the mac and cheese. So yeah, it was good. So yeah, it was just like dead quiet in the chat. Like there would be a few people that would show up, look, they would lurk, and then they would disappear. So I'm like, okay. So yeah, I had checked. Ooh, nice. I'm kind of having a hankering for some curry chicken. That does sound good. Oh, but with the hot weather, and if you have the spicy curry, oh, it'll be a miserable time. All right, let's go ahead and drop a little bit more flap here. See, it starts to climb, and all of a sudden, it's like I got to tell the plane to nose over to start dropping more altitude. Assume the landing position. Pay attention to the upcoming events. So yeah, it was just dead quiet. I was like, well, I guess I'll just talk to myself. And then Vengeful Squid came in, Skip shows up. Yeah, it was quite a quiet time. But that's okay. Sometimes that's just the way it is. But yeah, tomorrow it should be a fairly quick flight. We'll depart and get on our way to Ramstein, and we'll take a picture of the plane on the ground, since I'm going to basically kind of hand fly it for the most part. So I want to try to. I'm going to do what I can, but I need to step away for just a moment, folks. I'll be right back. I don't make my own curry. I get it from the. There's a Chinese restaurant right across from my apartment that they have really good chicken curry. I think they have curry chicken, curry shrimp. Those are the two curries that they have. I don't think they have. They might have vegetable curry, I think. But I know they have chicken and shrimp curry. I thought I had their. I just saw it the other day. I had their menu somewhere. I just saw it, but yeah, I don't. I'm not that good of a chef or cook or anything, so no, I would not know how to make my own curry. I've seen videos on YouTube that there's people who show you how to make your own, but no, I'm not that. I'm not that patient. No, if I can get it made for me, that's all the better. But theirs is like a yellow curry, which in some places the yellow curry is somewhat mild, but if you're not used to curry, it can still be a bit of spicy. Hello, Skeptic. How are you? It's super easy. It looks like it is. Like when I've watched the videos, it's like, oh, that's not that difficult. But actually doing it, I'd probably be like, no. There we go. Everybody's coming in at the end. That's all right. So we took off from Kish Island, which is an island that's part of Iran. I did not know this. It is a shopping destination. They have a lot of shopping zones, malls, I guess, over there. Sounds like it's a posh sort of area. I don't know. But so we took off from there. We're heading here to Jask. Both of those were stops along the way. Last night I had chicken broccoli with white rice, beef broccoli with white rice, and chicken lo mein. Ooh, that does sound good. I haven't had lo mein in quite some time. Actually, now that you talk, I miss the noodle shops there in San Jose. Oh, the pho. $5. You get this large bowl of pho, and you eat it, and you feel like $1,000,000. You could be having. Hello. I know what a pin cushion feels like. Oh, I'm sorry, Mick. That sucks. Yeah, lo mein. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry to hear that, Mick. Hopefully you can. And for lunch I had a meatball. Ooh, meatballs. I had one of those before. It's just like too much. Like it's a mess. But no, I couldn't eat that on a regular basis. But yeah, so Kish Island and Jask were stops on the KLM route from the 1930s. Jask now, this where we're getting ready to land, is a military airfield. So there was no like chart information, nothing I can pull up. Like on SkyVector, the airport doesn't exist. The only thing I could find on SkyVector was the TACAN to put as a destination, just to get some kind of idea in SkyVector of my headings and all that and distance. So yeah, but it does exist. It's just it's not a place that civilian. Oh, hold on a second. I don't know why that would hold. Oh, Vic, thank you for the bits. Appreciate that. It's a mess. Sauce kept falling. Yeah, it is. But I mean, I like them. They are tasty, but they are a bit of a mess to eat. So thank you, Mick, for the bits. I greatly appreciate that, good sir. You are a gentleman and a scholar. I don't care what Amilla says. So, yeah. So this was one of those areas that, when I was planning it, it exists in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but trying to find actual information, like any kind of chart of the airport, stuff like that, the layout doesn't exist in anywhere else. In Navigraph, it exists, but it only shows that it exists. It doesn't give you any other information other than that it's an military airfield, and that's about it. No other charts or anything at all. So it always amazes me that nearly 100 years ago, people could land here from, come in here, land, maybe spend the night. Maybe they were only here for fuel and whatever else, and then they were on their way to the next destination. So, yeah, very strange. So, it's evening time here. It is currently 6:14 in the evening. So, yeah, very strange. Yeah, it's probably good because I had problems. Oh, Nick, when I got the message, you were like, "Yeah, no, we're not streaming tonight after all." Because in the lead up to all that, I was trying to get my Xbox Live had its own issues because they were doing some kind of maintenance, but they when I looked at when I checked online to see what was going on, it said they were doing maintenance on one particular game, but it was affecting, I think, everybody. And then my internet started acting up. So I guess it was a bit of a blessing that we canceled last night. But yeah, I was really looking forward to getting on the farm with you and all that. But yeah, then it was just like I gave up after a while, and I was like, I'm just gonna read and all that. So, and then at like about 8:30, 9 o'clock, I think, is when it finally came back on, and I was just like, well, I can watch a little bit of TV then and go to bed. So, oh, actually, I was gonna watch TV. No, I didn't do that. I was getting some stuff together for July's flights. Just trying to find some interesting places and whatnot. So, all right, folks. Oop, did I? No. Okay. I thought it seemed like the numbers were on the flaps were going up, like I hit the up button instead of the down button. All right, folks. I am going to keep my eyes off the chat while we line up here for our arrival. Try to get this correct here. I think we would have maybe enough fuel for one go around if we had to, but we're not gonna do that. So so easy to overcorrect with the standard controller. There we are, folks. That might have been, that's close to butter right there. That might be butter. I think Captain Arish would be proud of my landing there. On behalf of myself and the entire flight crew, we'd like to welcome you to Jask, Iran. Local time is 6:27 in the evening. We understand and appreciate the fact that you'd much rather be doing all kinds of other things with your time instead of watching me and listening to me blather on about stuff. But we appreciate the fact, thank you, Lamella, that you chose to spend your time with us regardless. Do join us tomorrow in the F-15 Eagle departing from Lockenheath, heading over to Ramstein, Germany. Should be a very quick flight. We're going to just take off, zip across the channel, and be done. We'll be there before we know it. Now I got to get the plane to get moving again. There we go. The girls are growing up and getting trappy then for ask. Yeah. Yeah, kids don't have that. It's like developing that awareness of the world around them that they. I remember when I was a kid, we would go. A friend of my mom's had a house that had a swimming pool, so in the summer we would go there for swimming because, it didn't cost anything, and so I would, thinking that I was being gracious and thankful for the fact that we got to go swimming, I'd say, "Oh, we'll see you tomorrow," and then my mom's like, "You can't assume that," getting all going. I hide. Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean, Mick. So yeah, I was like, well, I thought, in my mind that we would be going there like every day, but I was wrong, and my mom was right to point out that you can't assume that you're going to go and go there again the very next day and go swimming. That's a wrong way to look at it. So let's see. That's I didn't know any better. All right, we will let them know once we are clear of the runway. So there's only this parking area here. Head there. Near the little hangar there. So we will find a place there. We'll shut everything down and get ready to call it a day. So thank you all for coming in, and towards the end. It's weird because for a while it was like everybody would be here in the beginning, and then nobody would be here at the end. Now nobody's there at the beginning, and everybody comes in at the end. I guess everybody wants to see if I crash. I think that's what if I crash on landing or something. So, but thank you all for coming in and hanging out. Greatly appreciate it. Nice to see you all here. So 7:30 Eastern, 11:30 UTC, 12:30 UK in the F-15 Eagle will be our flight for tomorrow. I'm just going to go ahead and pull right on in here. Looks like a good spot right there. Little vehicle's like, who are you? Why are you here? There we go. Perfect. Let's go ahead and shut it down. Battery and battery. Ta-da. And we have a whopping 2 hours and 14 minutes, so we got there a little bit early. Just a bit early, but that's okay. Let me go ahead and put my hours in so I don't lose track of those, since the in-game tracker is all suspect once again. For whatever reasons. So my endeavor to get to a 500 nautical miles for an achievement has been basically null and voided due to the numptiness of the in-game flight tracker system. Well, at least we got credit for a takeoff and a landing. Let's see if these hours hold. I doubt it. For whatever reason, they've been disappearing. But anyway, that will do it for today, folks. I do greatly appreciate everybody coming in, hanging out today. Tomorrow, once again, F-15 Eagle, the two-seater. The F-15E is an Echo, departing from Lockheath, going to Ramstein. So we're going to take off. We're not going to do IFR or anything. We're going to take off and just head over to Germany, come in, land, and call it a day. So it should be a very quick flight tomorrow. Anyways, do enjoy the rest of your Wednesday morning, afternoon, evening, early Thursday, depending on where you are in the world. I have been your pilot and your host, and I always will be, Uncle B. Until then, peace, live long and prosper.